Hey, we're back again, and this time we're going to build the transmission for the RC drag slash. So last time we built the diff, and we put million weight fluid in it. One thing I did in the video that I should probably just bring notice to is when I tighten the screws, I went 1, 2, 3, 4. Ideally, I probably should have gone 1, 2, 3, 4, which I did when I pulled it apart just to make sure that there wasn't too much fluid in, because too much fluid will cause a lot of pressure and there's no place for the fluid to go or to expand when it heats up. And it's basically just goes around the gears, which is exactly what you really want on this particular diff. So this is good. And now we're going to get on to building the transmission. Another part that I've really not done too much with is these transmissions for the two-wheel drive cars. I mostly deal with the four-wheel drives, so I'm pretty familiar with them. But this one, I have the exploded view on my computer on another desk. So if I get into trouble, I'll just go take a look at that. No shame in asking for help if you need it, right? Okay. Also easier to use a knife than a screwdriver to open bags. Okay, and I have no idea what this screw is for. All right, so let's just start by looking, see how this goes together. So this goes together like this. The diff goes in here. And then you've got each side of the diff will have an output shaft, and then those output shafts go to the axles. These holes are for the A-arms that go on the rear that hold the tires on and work as suspension. So we know how that goes. This also only goes one way. If you try to put it in the other way, it's not going to fit. So it looks like we have some bearings that need to go in there. Probably on both sides. Maybe just on the inside. So, okay. So we know how that goes. This is a slipper clutch. It goes on to the spur gear. And this is actually the rebuild kit. And then there should be some more parts to that right here. So this is all the parts for the spur gear. The spur gear will end up going right here, I think. It goes just on the other side of the motor. So the motor goes, I think the motor goes here. The spur gear goes here. No, the spur gear goes here. Spur gear goes there. Motor comes out here. Pinions there. And then, is that right? I think that's right. Anyways, spur gear goes to the motor, and then the motor, and then the gears, they can't go in there. Well, we'll figure it out as we go. That's kind of been the way we've been doing this whole build. So there's a bunch of gears that go inside, and I'm probably going to need to go get some instructions. So I'll be right back as I go get the instructions. Okay, one thing nice about Traxxas is they have exploded views for all of their parts and all their cars online. You can just go to Google and type in this case I typed in slash two-wheel drive transmission exploded view. I got this beautiful diagram with everything I need. It even had the diagram for the diff, which we didn't need. We've already got that put together. So let's get busy with the transmission. We're going to start with this assembly down here. This is the spur gear and the slipper clutch. So that's this piece, and this piece. Slipper clutch build is in another video. I'll put a link above. Okay, the gear I think goes here. Yeah, so we need is we need a washer, which we have right here. Okay, the washer is going to go over it like right there. And then we take one of these wonderful bearings, and the bearing goes here. For some reason that doesn't look right. Oh, yes it does. Okay. We're going to put the washer on here now. And then we're going to put the bearing in. So the bearing goes in there, just like that. And then this, with the washer, goes in here. Oh yeah, that's nice and smooth. And then on this post right here, I believe that's where the idler goes, which is right here, which also takes a couple of bearings and a couple of washers, it appears. Or with all these washers, this is going to be a clean build. And if we do it right, it'll always go straight because it'll have its bearings. Okay, so the grease I typically use is for high temperature applications, and it's not real good if you get it on your fingers, so I always use a glove when I'm using it. My GoPro battery died, so I had to go replace it. You don't need a lot of this stuff, you just need a little. Okay, we're gonna call that good. And we'll sandwich them together, wipe off any extra grease. There we go. Looks good. Okay, now we just need to put some screws in here, and this is done. Again, if only I knew where I had some screws. Really, the bigger question is if I only knew which screws I needed. Could be these. Let's try one. This feels like it might be a little long. Oops. All right, well, let me screw this in and then I'll be back. Okay, we have the transmission all built, and now it's just a matter of putting on the slipper clutch. So the way the slipper goes on, it'd be very hard to see on camera here, but there's a hole right there that this pin goes in. And it's fun getting the pin in, but it's possible. Especially with some needle nose pliers. There. Okay, so the pin is in. Then we take the back side of the slipper clutch. And there's a little notch right there. The pin goes on. Okay, then this second plate goes in. And this one, it goes on, and then there's some notches there, so it holds in place. And then this goes on top of it. Next, we take a spring. There's two springs. I'm not sure why there's two. You only need one. Probably different spring rates. We'll use the other one. And then you use this. Nope, the other one. This. Okay, now the trick here. The trick is to tighten it without the slipper actually slipping. As you can see, I struggled with this for a little bit before I finally figured out how to get it right. Without the axles on the car and wheels on the axles, you have to hold the differential in place, otherwise the diff will work or the slipper will work. Either way, you don't tighten the screws. So what I ended up doing, as you'll see in a few minutes, is I put screws or screwdrivers through both of the diff screw holes, and then use those screwdrivers to block the diff from working so I could get it tightened. You'll see that in just a minute. There. Normally you do this with tires on the car. Okay, so we're tightening it up. You can see the spring tightening. Typically you go full, so it's on tight. Now there's no slip at all, and just go back like a quarter of a turn. And that's usually where you start tuning from. Now for drag racing, we'll probably go full, but you can tune the car a lot with this by you loosen it a little bit and you'll let the pinion gear turn this a little before it starts turning the gears, so you can get the car to take off a little softer by loosening this, or take off harder by tightening it. So we'll start where it is now, and then we'll decide if we want to go tighter or looser on the slipper after you do some tuning. So that's it. The entire drivetrain is built and ready to go. Thanks for watching, and if you're enjoying this series, don't forget to subscribe. And by the way, you'll have to wait till the reveal of the car. I'm super excited for what it's going to be.